You are tuned into pro.Gnosis. My name is Simo Samana, and I'm honored to be your guide. And today, I wanted to talk about free will. It's such an important topic, and I don't feel like it's being adequately understood by a lot of people. Now, the notion of free will implies many things. If you asked anybody what free will meant to them, there's a good chance that you'd receive more definitions of it than the amount of people you ask. And that's one of the most interesting things about the topic of free will, is that the phrase is definitive of one thing, but that one thing is implicative of many things. It's sort of like a reflection of the universe. So it's funny how it would seem to be a fundamental law within that universe. As within, so without, I guess. And if your free will aligns with me doing so, I would love to offer you yet one more perceived notion of what free will means. At the least, what it means to me. And maybe you've considered this before, maybe you haven't, but regardless, I feel that this particular notion is one that's often overlooked. Now, spoiler alert, I know, big shocker, but you already read it in the title. Your individual free will affects those around you more than it affects yourself. Another way this could be said is your individual free will has more implications to those around you, more than it does to yourself. See, every human on Earth is having their own individual experiences, and whether we understand and accept this consciously or not, free will is the means to choose and decide how we want the experience to go for those who we interact with. To put it simply, free will is, well, among many other things, the ability, or some aligned towards negative polarity might even call it power, to choose what type of experience is had by other beings, even if they don't possess free will themselves. Now think about that for as long as you need to, because the implications of that are massive. We're talking possibly the greatest existential responsibility ever, and yet it's the one most taken for granted. I don't want to get ahead of myself, though, so for now, let's just realize how interesting this is. And I don't mean to say that free will as a singularity is interesting. Not that it isn't, but how I mean it is this whole human experience in general is very interesting. We can look around at other living things having their experiences, but as far as we can observe with our current level of consciousness, we're the only living beings. You know, when you consider plants and animals, we're the only ones that have free will. And you could argue, and some would, that, well, there are mean dogs and there are nice dogs, but here's the thing, they don't choose to be that way. They're nurtured one way or another way, and usually through the free will of a human. See, the personality of any dog is usually dependent upon the free will of its owner. Abused animals are usually skittish or mean, and loved animals they'll love. And once the condition is acquired, anyone who knows animals well will tell you that it can be near impossible to change it. And that's because they don't have the free will to change it. That's not the case with humans, though, no. Through whatever means, for whatever reason, for those who look for a reason, somewhere along the journey of our species, we acquired, some might even say granted, not only free will, but also the ability to perceive the world in such a way that nothing else experiencing it can perceive it. I guess what I'm getting at is, as interesting as it is to be human, it hurts a lot of the time. And much like pets, the things that hurt us are often the results of free will from another human. We're not as far from dogs as you might think. If you're mean to a dog, it'll likely end up becoming a mean dog. It's the same with a human. If a human receives prolonged negativity throughout their experience, they'll likely push that experience off onto others. But the difference is we have the ability to change our condition. We can change the way we perceive the world. I think that's so cool. Nothing else can do that, at least not as far as we can observe. Now, in order to do so, though, we first have to become aware of our condition. This can be an intense, exhaustive, and painful process, but you can't use intent to change what you're unaware of. First, you become aware of the condition. Then, through using mindfulness, you gain awareness of directions to take to change the condition using intent. And there's multiple reasons why conditions attach themselves to the afflicted. But I find the main reason to be, in my opinion, nurture is equivalent to nature. And what I mean is, what we're exposed to the most throughout our experience that usually becomes our view as the nature of the world we live in. It becomes our paradigm. If someone grows up in a mean family, then fundamentally they see the world as mean, for such is their predominant perception of it. Their family would treat them mean, and as a result, they would treat others mean. And the ones they treat mean, guess what? In turn, they will treat the other person mean. And then that just validates their negative view of the world. It's perpetual. And the thing is, this is the case no matter the intention, because, they're operating out of naivety. We're not too far from the dog, you see. We still need guidance, but with guidance, we can change what we want to change within ourselves. I think the notion of that is so powerful.